Hey guys, before this video starts, I just want to say happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys are all having an awesome time eating turkey and assorted other foods. Make sure you stay safe for Black Friday and all that. I just wanted to quickly say before this video starts that we're doing another Star Wars Battlefront 2 live stream this Sunday, November 26th, 1 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be giving away two gift cards, two $15 gift cards to see The Last Jedi in theater. So if you want to win some basically free money to see The Last Jedi, check the link in the description below. We have the video that kind of talks about that specifically, but if you watch us play on the live stream date, you can be entered to win that gift card. So just free money, free opportunity to see The Last Jedi. Hope to see you guys there and enjoy this video. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and I'm joined by Tyler, and we are back for another video on our Star Wars Community Series, a community series that airs every single Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time, leading up to Star Wars The Last Jedi releasing into theaters on December 15th. So we're going to be talking in this video specifically that we think that Luke will die. So we're going to get into that. Just a few quick announcements about this community series in general is we are just about there. We only have a couple more of these left. And then the week The Last Jedi comes out, it comes out the 15th. Starting on the 10th, Tyler and I are going to be having a podcast dedicated specifically to Star Wars, where we'll be having 5 topics from Sunday through Thursday of Star Wars The Last Jedi. If there's anything you want us to talk about in those topics, leave in the comments below. We will get to them. Or we'll have our own topics that we'll also talk about. And we'll also have more Star Wars Last Jedi content on that week as well. So, with that all being said, so Luke is going to die. So let's talk about kind of the circumstances of that. Firstly, let's discuss why, because, some people may have disagreements to that. Why do we think that Luke will eventually go?
Because he's old. And I'm not saying that he's going to die in The Last Jedi. So you might say clickbait. We never said that it was for The Last Jedi. But I do believe that Luke Skywalker will die in this current saga. And the reason, really, if you think about it, you can use the same analogy that you've used, or we've used, for Barbossa. Now, Barbossa's far older, and the actor is far older than Mark Hamill. But it's the same concept. Because what we've done is now we've introduced, obviously, in The Force Awakens, we've introduced this new generation, this new cast, to take over Star Wars. Now we find out that, they might not continue with these characters after Episode 9, but even though the president said that they were going to do that, so it's a little murky. But all of them, other than Oscar Isaac and his character Poe Dameron, Daisy Ridley and John Boyega, are relatively young. So if they wanted to wait, let's say 6-7 years for Episode 10 to come out, like the legitimate Episode 10 to come out, they totally would still be young enough to do that. They're both only in their, I believe, early 20s. So they could totally come back when they're in their 30s and continue for 10, 11, 12. And why am I saying that? How does that connect to Luke? Directly connects to Luke because what they did with, obviously, as we know, they connected this new generation with the old generation and how their stories are intertwined and all of that stuff. That's cool. That's great. It is. But the analogy that you can look at is Henry Turner, Karina Barbossa, spoilers, and obviously Will Turner from the original Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, and obviously Elizabeth Turner from the original trilogy, and the daughter of Hector Barbossa, who was in every Pirates of the Caribbean, 1 through 5. And so what did they do? They introduced new characters, a new generation that will eventually take over the franchise, and you intermix it with the old generation, so that way the old or the original viewers, basically like my father, he went to see Star Wars A New Hope when it was in theaters, however many years ago. I think it was 100 years ago, I believe. And so now he saw that movie, the first movie, and then we both saw The Force Awakens, and for him, it's I'm seeing, like me personally, I'm seeing, I got to be part of the prequel trilogy and now this new sequel trilogy. and he saw all of them. But when he was a little bit younger, Mark Hamill was young. Now Mark Hamill's much older, kind of like he is. And now, now I can relate to Daisy Ridley's character because I'm almost the same age. And John Boyega and all that. So it's just cool to see that, these characters have actually aged with the audience. But when that happens, you obviously have to keep the franchise going. So you introduce new characters. That's just like a business model. But it's worked story-wise by connecting them because they're, either the kids or this and that. We'll find out who Rey is. I don't think Rey's anybody in particular. She's just the midichlorians and all that stuff, and Snow created her. But anyways, but Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, he's the son of Han Solo and Leia. And now Luke, we don't know if it's Rey or whatever, but Luke obviously is older now, and you can't keep the older characters in these franchises for much longer because, unfortunately, you look at what happened with Carrie Fisher, and she's no longer with us. And what stinks is she was supposedly going to have a very large part in Episode 9, but was only able to finish filming Episode 8. So, not that I think Mark Hamill's going to die or Harrison Ford, obviously Han Solo's dead, but they could always do flashback type stuff if they wanted to, as long as he's still alive. But the problem is, when you deal with older type of people, I'm not calling Mark Hamill old, he's just older. So he can't do as much. Like, I don't expect Mark Hamill or Luke Skywalker to be wielding a lightsaber all that much. I think that he'll mainly use the Force. Now, Star Wars is lucky in the fact that, the older you are, usually that means you're a little bit wiser, which means you're more powerful, and you can make it make sense why, Luke would use the Force more because he doesn't really need to. He doesn't have to ignite a lightsaber. He literally hasn't had one. That's why Rey has to return it to him. He hasn't had one. So, you would assume that he would be super powerful with the Force anyways. So, yeah, Mark Hamill can flail his hands around and do all that stuff, but he can't nearly do what we know that, Rey, and you look at the fights from Rey and Kylo in Force Awakens, and probably what we're going to get in The Last Jedi, just with that little scene with Finn versus Captain Phasma. Mark Hamill he can, but how many more movies do you think he can move the way he may still be able to move? Not many. So what do? You have to write them off. So how do you write them off? You have two options. You either put them on an island to never be seen again, which they kind of already did that with Luke. We just didn't know about it until the end of The Force Awakens. Now he's found. So he can't just be like, okay, I'm going to just go to this planet, or I'm going to go on the other side of the planet and just be on this island and hide for the rest of the eternity. They're not going to do that. So unfortunately for Luke, they're going to have to kill him off. Now, what Alex and I can talk about and theorize is how they may kill him off, but unfortunately, that's what's going to have to happen. He's going to have to be killed off. Now, Leia is that's a different situation because Carrie Fisher actually died. So, it's tough. Like, you can't, you can look at like Paul Walker's character for, Fast and Furious. You can't have Paul Walker's character, Brian, be driving a car and then all of a sudden he crashes into something and his car explodes and it kills him. Because that's what happened to him in real life. So you can't have a tragic death for him. It has to just be like a sign-off. Now for Leia, not that we're talking about Leia, but for Leia, they can't have some kind of tragic death. They could do like a sacrifice death because that would be to the character and something that Carrie Fisher would like. Now for Mark Hamill probably wouldn't want Luke to be written off. Or not written off, like to just, be like, I'm just going to leave the galaxy and just almost be like basically be like how Luke Skywalker's been for the last 30 years. I don't think Mark Hamill would like that. I think Mark Hamill would prefer a sacrifice type death, as long as he has a say, as long as he's alive. And I'm pretty sure they listen to some of what he says. So I think that, Luke Skywalker being killed off is definitely going to happen, whether it's in episode 8, which it could happen, or episode 9, which if it doesn't happen in 8, it will happen in 9. Because I just don't see, if they defeat Snoke in the end of episode 9, I don't see like Rey and Finn and R2-D2 and BB-8 and Luke like, hey, let's just go get a bite to eat, and then they do that. Then all of a sudden you see Rey like waving, and then they or maybe Luke's like they bring him to some new island, and then he's waving, and the Millennium Falcon takes off, and then they leave, and it's like dun 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 dun, dun, and it's like wait, they're like, okay, we needed you to defeat Snoke, then we're gonna drop you off at an island. Bye, old man. Like they can't do that kind of thing. So he's definitely gonna die. And now, I don't know if I necessarily want him to die, and I don't know how many fans would prefer to see him die, but I'm pretty sure a death like Barbossa's death would be fitting for that character. That's what I think. I think a sacrifice-type death for Luke Skywalker would definitely be, what is fitting for the character, what Mark Hamill would be what, like, fans would like to see.
I think age does play a huge role in it. He's 66. And really the other biggest part of it comes down to he's Luke Skywalker. I mean, he's probably, other than Darth Vader, I'd say he's the most iconic Star Wars character ever made. And Anakin is Darth Vader. We can count both of them at the same time. But I think when you think of Star Wars, you think Darth Vader and you think Luke Skywalker. And so really what you have coming down to is the fact that, yes, he's in 7. Yes, he's in 8. Yes, he's in 9. But if they were to take a break and then say come back out with a 10, and it continues, and Daisy Ridley as Rey, and they all come back and stuff, if Mark Hamill as Luke has not been killed off, I think the general opinion would be bring him back. Because what's a Star Wars movie with him alive without having him in it, right? So they didn't have that problem in 1, 2, and 3. They didn't have to put him in it. They probably would have if it made sense, but George Lucas, it was pretty dumb with those movies, but he wasn't that dumb. Luke was not born yet, although he was actually in 3 if you think about it that way. So Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, I think when he's alive in that universe, would need to always be in the movies, whether it be in The Last Jedi and whatever 9 is in terms of like he's in it a lot, or whether it be The Force Awakens where he's in it a little, but his presence is very much known. You have to, I think, put him in because he is Luke Skywalker. So what you have then is the fact that, okay, episode 9 comes out in 2 years, he'll be 68. Then say you take a 5-year break. He's 73. Do you risk that? I know Harrison Ford was around 69 years old-ish when he did Force Awakens, but that's pushing it, and Harrison Ford honestly acts like he's 40. So it's a little bit different for Mark Hamill. I don't think you want to risk having it be like, oh, episode 10's out, where's Mark Hamill as Luke? Because how long do you really think you're going to have him? And you do have to think about, the actual actor, human side of that. And it sucks to think like, yeah, we're all going to die. But you have to be careful with characters like that. And so you have, like Tyler said, the option with Luke. He's an iconic character. Then how do you kill him? Who kills him? Or how does he go? That's very tricky. I mean, obviously losing Han in 7 was big. Like we were all, I think we all saw it coming. But, I mean, I looked around in the theater, and everybody, and I don't know about Tyler's theater, Tyler, you were with us. Yeah. Just stone-faced.
I actually said to Nick when Kylo and Han were talking, and the part of the right side of the screen was blue, the left side was red, and I leaned over to Nick, I said, watch, it's going to turn all red, and he's going to kill Han. And he's like, what? And then he realized what I said, and he's like, yeah. And he shook his head, and then all of a sudden it started to turn red over Kylo's face, and he started to nudge me like, dude. Then it happened, and I was like, God damn it. See, like, I wish I didn't pick up on that kind of stuff, because that didn't spoil it, but that made it it made me already know Han was going to die before he died, so I didn't feel it at the time of death. I felt it before and then during. But I hope they don't give it away. I hope Luke doesn't make some statement to Rey, and then all of a sudden, like then it's like, oh, well, he's gonna kill himself right now.
So let's ask that question. So obviously, and that's kind of where I want to go with this too. Is like, so Han's death was pretty like devastating. Like Han Solo is also one of the most recognizable names, basically in movie history. So when they did that was obviously massive, and we were all very, even though we saw it coming, like the shock and like the sadness, you could feel it. You could literally feel the force in the theater. So Tyler, that's a good thing you bring up. Would you want it to be highly telegraphed, where Luke kind of says a goodbye to Rey and goes into like a fight he's going to lose? Or would you rather have it be like really shocking, where maybe you think he can actually win a fight, or however he dies, and he ends up losing and dies? So how do you think they would go about that?
This is, and I'm a visionary person, if you haven't learned already, how I would prefer it to happen. Not necessarily. Part of me actually thinks it may happen at the end of this movie, to be honest. If not dies, it would be a cliffhanger, where when we open episode 9, it's on his death. And what a way that would be like, how Dumbledore, not that I want to connect all these movies, but they're all kind of similar if you think about it. Like how Dumbledore dies at the end of 6. Like how that's a slow motion like fall. Like he's not dead yet, but he's gonna die, and you're watching him fall to his death. Now imagine if in that Harry Potter 6, imagine if Dumbledore was hit, and it's like, oh my god, like that means he's gonna die, because we already know it's precedent from Cedric Diggory that Avada Kedavra and that green magic means you're gonna die. So imagine if Dumbledore, you saw Dumbledore get hit by the green, and I'm going to connect it. Dumbledore gets hit by the green magic. And then it's like, then we process what's happening. He starts to fall, and then all of a sudden, the screen just goes black, and then it's like, oh my God. For people who don't read the books, they wouldn't know. And I do read the books, but not everybody reads the books. And unluckily for Star Wars, really there aren't books. Luckily, they come out with the movies. Now imagine opening on 7. And as the months and the year goes on, or 2 years technically for Star Wars, 2 years, 2 years for Star Wars between 8 and 9. Imagine all the theories like, well, wait, is he really dead? But he can't be dead because he's the most powerful wizard, right? So maybe he, maybe he's not really dead. And then everyone starts theorizing. It's like, well, wait, but maybe this, and then we open on 7, and then it starts at where he gets hit, and then we watch him fall slowly to his death. And then it's like that very somber, music and all that. And it's like, and then just like the beginning of Harry Potter 7, where Voldemort gets the wand, and it's that very quiet, eerie, spooky score, and he just shoots the wand up, and it's like, oh my God, like it's opening on like a dark note. Now, here's how it ties into Star Wars. You're probably thinking, Tyler, you're freaking crazy. No, listen to what I'm about to present to you, and you're going to be like, oh my God, I hope they do this. And Lucasfilm, you know how to contact me, podcastnow15@gmail.com. So do the reshoots right now. You have literally like 2 weeks, maybe 1 week max to fix your film. So here's how I would end episode 8, The Last Jedi. Rey, Kylo Ren, Luke, Snoke. They're all in Snoke's chamber. Rey and Kylo Ren, just like in the new pictures that came out, Rey and Kylo Ren are confronting Snoke, mainly Rey. It looks like she's willingly there, right? She's speaking with Rey. Snoke's going to use the Force on her. That's when she starts to scream. He's unlocking her memory. She's remembering everything. Yada, yada, yada. Then he stops. And then he talks to her, and he's like, join me, and blah, blah, whatever he says. I don't care what he says. It doesn't matter. So then, all of a sudden, Luke Skywalker appears. Everyone's like, oh my God, Luke, he's going to take on Snoke. Oh my God, yay. And then, but here's what's going to happen. He's going to walk past. He's going to literally, Kylo Ren he'll like look to Snoke, and Snoke will basically be like, don't move. First of all, what are you going to do? It's Luke Skywalker. You're weak anyways. I can picture Kylo Ren looking to Snoke, then looking at Luke. Luke doesn't even look at Kylo Ren because he's such a failure. Luke walks right past Kylo Ren, and then we see Rey looking back. Luke walks right past, he looks at her, he glances at her, he walks past her. He's now standing in front of Rey, and behind Rey is Kylo Ren. He speaks with Snoke. And we all think like, oh my God, the final battle of The Last Jedi is going to be Snoke and Luke. He says something. Luke, it sounds like Luke's at the end of what he's about to say. And all of a sudden, we hear a lightsaber ignite. And we're like, oh, shoot. Luke's igniting his lightsaber to take on Snoke. And then Luke looks down, and a blue lightsaber is through Luke. And it was Rey who ignited the saber. And then it goes to black. And we don't get the dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. We don't get that. It's just black. And then Star Wars The Last Jedi comes towards the screen, like, the red comes up on the screen, and then the credits start to go, and everyone's like, oh, what the heck? Like, what? Rey just stabbed Luke. Like, what? Is he going to die? What the? And that would be insane. I think that would be insane. So okay. So now to finish what I was saying, here's the connection to what I was saying before. So now you have to wait 2 years, and it's like, oh my God, wait a minute. So did Rey turn to the dark side? Was it Snoke that got in Rey's mind when she thought that, what I've said before on the live stream, if you guys watch, that I think Rey willingly goes to Snoke. Snoke does the mind trick stuff to her, but it's not a mind trick. He's undoing the memory block. She's allowing him to do that so that she can get in Snoke's head, just like how when Kylo Ren was trying to get in her head in The Force Awakens, she gets in his. She thinks that she's going to be able to get in Snoke's head, maybe control him and do that kind of stuff. But what ends up actually happening is Snoke implants part of, himself in Rey, so that he's actually able to take over her almost whenever he wants, and it was maybe Snoke that ignited the lightsaber. That's just a theory. Obviously, I'm coming up with this whole thing myself. But all these theories for 2 years would be swirling. And it would be like, oh my God, this is insane. We'd have to wait 2 years. And then again, episode 9, the opening of episode 9. And how they always start with the ship. They could totally start with the ship because Snoke's throne, I think, may be on a ship, his ship. It might be even I think it's called the new Death Star or the Super Death Star or something like that. So that would be the ship that they start at, just like classic Star Wars. And then we get to that scene where this time it's a different point of view. It's from Rey. Luke's finishing his statement, and then the lightsaber ignites. And we see Rey basically stabs Luke. She removes the lightsaber from Luke. Slow motion, Luke falls to his knees, and he falls, and Luke's dead. And then the movie, then the rest of the movie starts. And it's like, what in the heck? Like, literally the final movie of the saga, possibly of the entire Skywalker saga, and you end it with who we thought, from the first 2 movies, who we thought was good, and then we weren't sure, is she going to be bad, is she going to be whatever, ends up killing, like Alex said, the second most iconic character, and it happens in the beginning, opening minute of the final episode. That would be insane. And to me, is that a sacrifice death? No, but it could be, because don't forget, there's such thing as Force ghosts. And don't forget, Obi-Wan Kenobi, or Ben Kenobi, like Ben Kenobi told Luke, or I think it was actually Vader. Like Obi-Wan told Vader, if you strike me down, I'll become more powerful than you can ever imagine, or however he said it. It's highly possible that Luke kind of knew what was going to happen. Just as he says in the trailer, this isn't going to go the way you think. He says that to Rey. So she probably tells him the plan, and he probably follows her knowing what's going to happen. And he's probably thinking, I'm going to have to sacrifice myself. But what might happen is, being a Force ghost or whatever, he might be able to meet Rey in some kind of spirit world type thing and pull her back. I don't know. I'm just theorizing, obviously. But all I'm saying is, that would be a tragic death. If they did it like that, it would be a sacrificial death. It would be a shocking death. It would be all these things that I think in the end would satisfy fans. I think it honestly would redeem Luke in Mark Hamill's eyes, because I know he's not happy with Luke in The Last Jedi. And just overall, I think that would be in a way, a fitting death to Luke Skywalker, because what has he done? He's run away. He's kind of hid, with whatever his reasons are. We'll find out. From the galaxy, he's stopped defending the galaxy. He's been in hiding for 30 years, and he's allowed Supreme Leader Snoke, whether he's Plagueis or whoever he is in the First Order, to basically take over the galaxy worse than the Empire has ever done. So he allowed the villains, the bad guys, to do this. So a death like that, if he ends up sacrificing himself to end up bringing Rey back to the light, to be able to basically eradicate this darkness once and for all, that's a very fitting death. It's a sad death, but it's a fitting death.
So let us know in the comments below not only what you think of Tyler's theory of how Luke is going to die, but what's your own theory? How do you think they're going to handle it? Do you even think that Luke will die? Let us know in the comments below. Again, this Star Wars Community Series airs every single Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Last Jedi comes out in just a few weeks. We only have 2 more Community Series left after this, 2 more videos, and then we're going to be having our podcast. So we're almost done. We've had a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys continue to watch right to the end. We'll have loads of Star Wars The Last Jedi content all throughout December, and we hope to see you there.